Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to take you back to Hong Kong in the 1980s, a time when the city was bustling with life, neon lights, and rapid modernization. But beneath that glamorous surface, there was a story so chilling, so tragic, that it shocked an entire city. This is the story of a love triangle that turned deadly, of jealousy and obsession that ended with a horrifying murder in a place no one would expect, inside an elevator shaft. And the victim was killed by none other than his closest friend. So sit back, make sure you're comfortable, and let me tell you the haunting case known as the Hong Kong elevator murder of 1984. Our story begins with Hao Nin, a 24-year-old man in Hong Kong in 1984, to those around him. Hao Nin was a young man with a bright future, a good heart, and someone who truly cared for the people he loved. He had been dating a girl named Chun who loved him deeply. But here's where things start to twist. In their friend group, there was another young man, Lau Manxiang, 23 years old. Lau wasn't just some random friend. He was one of Hao Nin's closest companions. They had gone to school together, hung out together, and were practically inseparable. But Lau carried a dark secret in his heart. He was in love with Chun too. At first, Lau tried to pursue her, but Chun made it clear she only loved Hao Nin. She rejected Lau's feelings and instead chose to be with his best friend. And that rejection lit a fire inside Lau, a fire of jealousy, bitterness, and eventually obsession. Now, instead of moving on, Lau allowed that jealousy to grow. Every time he saw Hao Nin and Chun together, holding hands, laughing, sharing small moments of love, Lau's heart twisted with rage. In his mind, he began to believe that Hao Nin had stolen the girl who should have been his. And slowly, thoughts of revenge started to take root. Lau wasn't just envious, he was consumed. He started plotting. He thought, if Hao Nin wasn't around, then maybe Chun would finally turn to me. And so, a chilling plan began to form in his mind. 1 month before the murder, Lau made his first move. He knew that Hao Nin always took the elevator to visit Chun at her apartment. Lau decided to set a trap. He carried a bottle of gasoline, a seal fire extinguisher, a knife, and even a Bible. Yes, a Bible. It sounds strange, but Lau, in his twisted mind, seemed to think that reading the Bible would either calm his nerves or somehow justify his actions. He hid inside the elevator shaft, waiting for Hao Nin. When the moment came, he tried to ambush him. But in the end, he hesitated. He lost his courage. The plan failed. But instead of giving up, Lau only became more determined. Fast forward to the night of December 16, 1984. That evening, Hao Nin had just dropped off his girlfriend, Chun, at her home. He stepped into the elevator, ready to head back. But this time, Lau was waiting. He had everything prepared: a knife, nylon rope, carbon dioxide, a Bible, and even a lighter. He hid on top of the elevator, in the dark, waiting for his former best friend. When Hao Nin entered, Lau made his move. He cut the power, plunging the elevator into darkness. Then he sprayed CO to disorient his victim. Hao Nin struggled, confused, gasping for breath. That's when Lau dropped down and attacked. He slashed with the knife, then wrapped the nylon rope around Hao Nin's neck. The two fought desperately inside the confined space of the elevator. But Lau's obsession had given him a terrifying strength. Finally, Lau pulled the rope tight. Hao Nin collapsed. The young man's life was brutally cut short by the very friend he trusted most. But here's the chilling detail that would later seal Lau's fate. During the fight, Hao Nin grabbed a piece of paper that tore away from Lau's Bible. Even in his final moments, the victim had unknowingly taken hold of the very evidence that would one day expose his killer. Lau, panicking, tried to cover up the crime. He attempted to throw Hao Nin's body into the elevator shaft. But before he could escape, rescue workers and police, responding to the sudden power outage, arrived at the scene. There, they found Hao Nin's lifeless body at the bottom of the shaft, and trapped inside, covered in sweat, shaken and unable to flee, was Lau. At first, Lau tried to remain calm. He claimed he was also a victim, that he had simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the evidence began piling up. Police found the rope, the knife, the CO cylinder, the lighter, and the Bible with pages torn out. And remember the piece of paper clutched in Hao Nin's hand? It matched perfectly with the missing page from Lao's Bible. The truth was undeniable. When confronted, Lao broke down. He confessed everything: his jealousy, his failed attempt 1 month earlier, his obsession with Ashan, and his murderous plan. So why did Lao do it? The answer was heartbreakingly simple. Love turned into obsession, and obsession turned into murder. Lao believed that if Hao Nin were gone, he could finally have Achan, but in reality his twisted act only destroyed 3 lives. Hao Nin, who lost his future; Achan, who lost the man she loved; and Lao himself, who lost everything to his own madness. The case shook Hong Kong to its core. The media called it the elevator murder. People were horrified not only by the brutality of the crime, but by the betrayal at its heart. How could someone kill their best friend over love? In court, Lao showed no sign of remorse at first, but the evidence was overwhelming. He was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. For the people of Hong Kong, the case became a grim reminder. Love, when twisted by jealousy and obsession, can become one of the deadliest forces of all. Even today, decades later, the story of the elevator murder still haunts those who hear it. It's a chilling example of how fragile trust can be and how dangerous it is when obsession replaces genuine love. When we think of betrayal, we often imagine lies, broken promises, maybe cheating. But in this case, betrayal came in its most extreme form, a best friend turning into a killer. So what do you think of this case? Do you believe Lao truly thought he could win Ashan's love by committing such a horrific act? Or was it never really about love, but only about hatred and ego? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe and take care.